Etsy account suspended and you need help getting it back? Hey everybody, my name is Marcella Dominguez. I am a lawyer helping you with your online needs, and I also used to be an Etsy seller, so I completely understand where you're coming from. If you feel disgruntled and upset because your Etsy account is suspended, have no fear because I will help you reinstate your Etsy account. In this video, we are going to be covering the top 5 reasons why Etsy sellers get their accounts suspended. And what can you do if your account is suspended? Well, you'll have to stay till the end to watch. There are permanent suspensions and temporary suspensions on Etsy. You should have received an email that tells you a little bit more about the status of your account, or there should be a banner when you log into your account at the very top that tells you whether it's a temporary or a permanent suspension. Many times you will be able to respond to the email that you received, or you will be able to contact support through the support form available within the Etsy platform. Many times this isn't going to be the end all for you because you still might have to file an appeal. Now, if you want to file an appeal, that is definitely your best option if you want to get your account reinstated. If you don't feel comfortable filing your appeal and you want us to do it for you, we'd be more than happy to help. But I can tell you that more times than not, filing an appeal will be your first line of communication with Etsy and letting them know that you acknowledge that perhaps you did something wrong. Now, is it a bad thing to acknowledge that you did something wrong? Well, it depends on what the wrong thing is. So was this an intellectual property violation? Was this copyright infringement or trademark infringement? What was the reason for your account deactivation or your account suspension? If you want to go ahead and send me an email that Etsy has sent to you and you want to forward it to me so I can look at it, please feel free to do so. You can scroll down into the description and you'll find my email there so you know exactly where to forward it. Now, selling on Etsy for me was really fun, and it was a way to have some supplemental income. And I know that for a lot of you, selling on Etsy is your bread and butter. And so I completely understand that you are very anxious about getting your account reinstated. Usually, if there's an e-commerce seller on one platform, you can bet that there are going to be e-commerce sellers on other platforms as well. So if your account is suspended, it could either be an accident and something that can very easily be fixed, or it could be because you broke the Etsy rules. So we're going to go through a list of the Etsy rules that maybe you have broken and find out whether you should acknowledge that you broke these rules in your appeal. So number 1, when you are selling items that are prohibited from being sold on the Etsy platform. So what are you prohibited from selling on Etsy? Some items that are prohibited from being sold on Etsy are tobacco, alcohol, firearms, pornography, things of that nature. So you shouldn't be selling those things. And if you did and your account got shut down, then it's no surprise. So if you're in that situation, is it worth filing an appeal? Sure, but will your account get reinstated? The chances might be slim, but it's always worth a try, right? But if you're a seller that really depends on the Etsy platform, then I would say it's always worth a shot to file an appeal. Number 2, you should not be reselling items that you purchased from a wholesaler. Etsy is intended to be a platform for selling handmade goods or goods that you designed. So if you didn't design them and you're buying them from a wholesaler, or you didn't hand make them, then you probably shouldn't be reselling other people's items. I know that this is still a problem on the Etsy platform, where if you go on there, you know that a particular seller did not make the items that they are selling, because there are other sellers selling the same product. It's definitely not handmade, and you know that they probably ordered it from a wholesaler, more than likely in China. So what can you do about this? Well, we're actually talking about your situation. If you find it unfair that somebody else is selling a good that they shouldn't be selling, then of course you do have the option to report them, but is that really going to make your situation better, or are you doing it out of vengeance? You really need to take a step back and think about what's going to be advantageous for you and for your situation. If it's going to be advantageous for a bunch of you to get together and to take out all of these sellers that are selling wholesale goods, then perhaps it's necessary that you report them. But if we're really thinking about trying to reinstate your account, does reporting somebody else actually work to reinstate your account? So like we just discussed, if you are selling a product that you did not hand make yourself, or a product that you did not design and create yourself, and you could be facing an account suspension on Etsy. Number 3, selling services. Etsy is not intended as a service-based platform. You don't go on there because you're a lawyer and you want to sell, trademark services. You're not a doctor. You're not going to perform any kind of services there either. If you're somebody who's in the service industry, you really want to think about how you can translate your services into a product. Now, I know that might sound a little bit difficult for you to wrap your head around at first, but it is possible. example. If you go onto the Etsy platform and you play around with it a little bit, you will see how people are translating their services into products. And so they are not selling the services per se. But if you are selling services, you might be facing account deactivation if you haven't already faced a suspension. So be careful if you plan on going onto the Etsy platform thinking you'll be able to sell your services. Number 5, infringing on someone else's trademark. If you are infringing on someone else's trademark, then there's a huge chance that your account is going to be suspended permanently, deactivated, and you are going to have to figure out how in the world you're going to get that account back, or if you need our help in trying to get that account back for you. Now, a suspension or deactivation based on an intellectual property violation can be pretty serious because Etsy doesn't want to find themselves in a situation where they're going to have to defend you as the seller or defend themselves for allowing you to sell it. You see what I'm going with this? That is the reason that Etsy immediately suspends accounts when they find that you've committed some kind of IP, trademark, copyright violation. They want to make sure that you don't do it again because they are also going to be on the hook if they continue to allow it. So IP violations are not cheap, and if they were to be sued, it can cost Etsy a pretty penny. So that is the reason why they want to block or disallow any kind of continued IP violations to go on. So if this is a situation that you find yourself in, but you need to get your Etsy account back, or at least give it your best shot, then make sure you send us an email, which you can find down below in the description. So if you find yourself in that situation where your account is suspended, it's deactivated, whether it's permanent or temporary, what should you do? Well, like I said, you can definitely forward us any information that Etsy has sent you so that we can find out whether it is to your advantage for us to submit an appeal on your behalf. Our goal is that you get your Etsy account back quickly. We know that sometimes days can feel like months and months can feel like years when you are waiting to hear back from Etsy about whether a reactivation is on its way. So we try to help you get this done in the most efficient way possible. We both have the same goal here, which is to help you get your Etsy account back. So if you feel nervous, if you feel anxious about going about this process all on your own, then make sure that you send us an email because we'd be more than happy to submit it for you. Now, if you want to learn more about trademark violations or other Etsy suspensions and why Etsy is shutting down accounts, make sure to catch that video right there because it is a great follow-up to this video in understanding what is going on with Etsy, period.
See you in the next video.